Next is everyone's favorite thing on earth to draw, eyes. Begin by downloading the files Eyes 1 and Eyes 2 from the course curriculum. I printed them out at 11 by 17, but I created files to be 8.5 by 11, so you can work on smaller paper if you like. Just make sure that your printout and your paper are the exact same size. For this exercise, you're going to need a ruler or straight edge, a 2B lead pencil, a B lead, an H lead, a 3B lead. Also, have your sharpened eraser handy, and of course, a rubber eraser. Again, for this lesson, you're going to need to have your device near your drawing, so that you can watch me do a step, then pause the video and repeat it. You may want to resharpen your eraser for this exercise. You're going to need it for some very fine details. The paper I'll be drawing on is just the standard Strathmore paper from a drawing pad, but you can easily just use printer paper if you don't have this available. Strathmore paper has a bit more tooth to it, but to be honest, I've always preferred drawing on printer paper because of how smooth it is. Before we begin drawing, I'd like to simplify the eyes into shapes and planes for you, and explain my plan of approach. Just watch this part, don't start drawing yet. The first obstacle I want to talk about is symmetry. We've all managed to draw one eye at some point in our lives. It gets trickier when it comes to drawing two eyes because there's a lot of symmetry to get right. And if that symmetry is off, it can look very obvious. There's a flow to the shapes in the eye. Let me explain. I've begun by defining the shape of the eyebrow, then the folds of the upper eyelid. In case you can't tell from the video, I'm just outlining the shapes. I'm drawing a line for the lower eyelid, the line around the iris. I'm even outlining the highlight. This is all a preliminary sketch should consist of, just establish and outline the landmarks. But if you pay close attention to nature, especially in the human body, you'll start to see a flow to the shapes. Now, I know at first that sounds like esoteric nonsense, but that flow is what I'm going to use to make sure all of the proportions I draw line up. See how the roundness of the iris flows into the shape of the upper line of the eyebrow? That's how you're going to know where to place that curve, and this curve will help show you where it ends. Here's another example. See how the curve of the eyelash flows into the curve of the eyebrow? You see, the hand is mostly made of straight lines, as you now know, but the eye is made of ovals and curves. Not quite as easy to measure with a ruler, but once you learn to see the flow of the eyes, it'll be easy. Of course, we'll still be working with planes. That's always a handy tool. Here's one, for example. The folded eyelid makes a plane. For now, let's think of the eyebrow as one big solid shape, but don't worry, I'll give you very specific instructions on how to handle it when we approach it in the drawing. The hand can be easier to simplify into just 2 or 3 planes, but the eyes are more complex. They're going to be made of a number of much smaller planes. This highlight, for example, is its own plane. Let's take a look at the other eye. This is going to be my approach to drawing it. I'll outline the shape of the eyebrow, then the shapes of the eyelid and eyeball, and finally I'll outline the shapes of the planes. For example, this is a plane. The edges are soft, but it's there. Can you see it better if I shade it in? See how nature has designed the lines of the eye to have a flow to them? Look at how the lines I just drew organically flow together. For example, the curve of the eyelash flows perfectly into the curve of the eyebrow. This is going to help me make my drawing feel natural and help me fine-tune the characteristics of the eye as I draw. Take the curve of the upper eyelid, for example. That's going to help me draw the exact right amount of curve on the eyebrow. Are you starting to see the flow of the shapes now that I've simplified them on the tracing paper? See how the iris is going to help me line up the curve of the eyebrow and find where it begins? Don't worry, you don't need to know how to use this concept yet. I'm going to teach you how to take advantage of it during the lessons. I just want to help you visualize doing it right now. And just like drawing the hand, once I've established the outline, I'll shade in the planes.